Good evening, everyone. That's an elegant crowd, no, Jean Paul? Elegant Australians. We loved Australia. We've been here, Jean Paul, a week, me 2 weeks with the team, and it's been a lot of fun, mostly working with the team here. It was a great experience, so I hope you'll enjoy the conversation with us tonight. Did any of you saw the exhibition already? No? Great. So I hope for the ones who haven't seen it, you'll just run to see it and spread the word in Melbourne and all over Australia to come see it. So this exhibition has been traveling since 2011. It's been initiated by the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts by Nathalie Bondil. And in fact, I started to work with Mr. Gaultier in 2009, and it was such a great experience, and still it's a great experience because from 2009 to 2011, you know, I had to do research and go through the archives. And one thing that fascinated me when I looked through your archives is that I found these sketches that you did when you were, what, maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, yeah. Already very detailed. He was doing 2 collections a year, and you have all the accessories. With all the fabrics, like incredibly well detailed. Can you tell us what kind of child you were, and even as a child, if you were already dreaming of being a fashion designer?
What I can say already is that at that time, I was doing also my critics. You know, like the journalist, but it was always good critics. Always it was fantastic, it was like Parisian and very chic. It was not so rebel at the time, rebellious. So how I was a child, lonely child, because I have no brother, no sister. I was with parents that were wonderful, very nice, very open-minded. A grandmother incredible, which was a nurse and faith healer. She was making magnetism. She was having clients, and she was giving advice to her client, which were, a little needed massage or something like that. And she was sometimes making beauty masks to them. And she was also giving them advice, like maybe to change of haircut, to change of color of hair, to make makeup like that and like that, like beauty advice, you know. On me, I was listening to that because like I was like 7 years old, 8, 9, 10 years. So I was like a child, so they were not frightened me to listen to it. And I was sketching them, how they were, I was seeing there. And after I was making the sketch, before and after, which was the sketch, how I imagined them, you know, but it was always inspired by TV because I was seeing, so I was making them as Brigitte Bardot or what, like that. So they were a little different. So it was that, but I was not good in sport, not good in all that. So I was little like, you know, but I feel when people tell me you didn't have brother or sister, did you feel sorry about it? No, I didn't feel sorry because I don't know what it is. So I was like only with myself, making cone bra to my teddy bear, for example. Yeah, because my parents didn't want me to have a doll. It was not good for a boy. So I took my teddy bear and I put him cone bra. It was the first cone bra I did before Madonna. I didn't do it for Madonna. I did it for my teddy bear.
No, but even you were spending a lot of time with your grandmother, and you watched a famous movie, Falbala, with her, and you discovered things also in her wardrobe.
I should say that there is like, 3 big moments that make me change and make me do what I am doing now. First of all, it was one time, when I was child, I was 9 years old, and I was rejected at school because I was not good in sport, you know, I was not good in football. So they didn't like me in the school, you know. And one time I saw at the TV, because my grandmother let me see everything I wanted, you know, I saw at the TV like the premiere of the Folies Bergère. So I saw girls with fishnet, with feathers, with strass, etc. So the day after at school, at the moment the teacher was speaking and explaining a lot of things, me, I was sketching like a girl with fishnet and with strass and with like a lot of feather, ostrich feather, from Australia, of course, ostrich feather. And I sketched that. On one moment, she was behind me, she saw it, and she was furious because I didn't listen to what she was saying, you know. And she made me stand up. She gave me like bang, 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 like that on the finger. It's what the teacher were doing at that time. And she made me go up, and I went to the little stage like that, and she put me, my sketch, she pinned it on my shirt, on my back. And she made me make the tour of all the different classes because she wanted to humiliate me. But you know what happened? It's exactly the contrary that happened. Is that the boys that normally say, oh, Gaultier is so bad in football and gymnastics and like that, there they smile to me, you know, and they ask me, make me a sketch, make me that beautiful girl that you can do. So I am sure, but I realized it years after, you know, that I am sure that at that time I realized that maybe the way I could be loved or the door should open, my passport was to sketch and to make different kind of sketches. Yeah. So it's one of that. Second thing, my grandmother, and she had also a cupboard where she has a corset, and I saw a beautiful corset. I didn't know what it was. And I was like saying, my God, what is that? You know, it's so strange, it's beautiful, the color is beautiful. It was salmon, like flesh color, you know, and it was with a lot of lace up. And after she told me that it was something like to maintain and to make the waist very, very, very tight. Ah, what is that? And she showed me, and she told me even, she told me that at the beginning of last century, when you, to have the waist so small, you have, at the moment of you put your corset, you have to drink a little of vinegar. And you have a contraction of the stomach, and at that time you have to lace it up, you know. So that was the other thing that make me maybe make what I am doing now for the corset. After that, the third thing, you know, it was a movie. It was Falbala, a movie of Jacques Becker, a movie of the 40s, you know, that was at the TV. And I saw it, it was in black and white, but I find it absolutely fabulous. You know, I love the story. It was a story of a couturier with his muse. He became in love. He has no idea to make his collection, but like he felt in love. His inspiration came, you know, and after fluently he did a beautiful collection, and after there was the fashion show with the girl moving like that. I said, I want to do that. I want to do exactly that, you know. And it was not to be famous, it was not to get money or whatever. It was only like to do the same profession and to have a muse, etc. And after I make that profession, and I got a lot of muse, and I make a lot of fashion show. But for me, it was important, like the movement. I mean, like not the clothes on a hanger, you know, on somebody which make it live, you know. So it's life, you know. It has not to be something dead, you know. It's not a nature mort. It's something that is living.
Because you never went to fashion school. You learned through fashion magazines, movies, films, but also you were telling me that as a young boy, when you were going to Paris, you were always attracted to the Parisienne and, you know, very specific woman. But how do you become a fashion designer when you sketch when you're a teenager, young, and then one day, on your 18th birthday, Pierre Cardin, the famous fashion designer, calls you to work with him? How this all happened?
How did it happen? It happens that I make a lot of, always I was doing a collection with those critics that were always good, so it was very positive. On one moment somebody said, but maybe it should be good if you can see some couturier and show them your sketch. But I was very shy. So the only solution we find with my mother, it was like to send it. So I divide all my collection, that was 155, 200 different sketches, because I was reading, Pierre Cardin did 250, 300, so I was trying to make almost the same amount that him, you know. So I was reading that in the newspaper, you know, in the critic. So I divide my 300 sketches for Saint Laurent, for Courrèges, for Cardin, for Paco Rabanne, for that one. I was thinking that one maybe must be more the style, because I was doing like a kind of, let's say, simple analysis of the style. I like the ones that have style. You know, I like Pierre Cardin because he has his own style, Courrèges, Saint Laurent, which was truly like somebody that, for me, it was like at the same time very unique. You know, no following a trend, but doing his own things, like very special. So I send it. I receive the answer of Saint Laurent, who says that thank you for the sketches, but Mr. Saint Laurent was not looking for assistant or whatever. He was doing all his collection himself, and he didn't find attractive my colors. Bon. I think in reality, to see the reality, my colors were a little like vulgar, I should say. The Saint Laurent was very subtle in the coloring, you know. On me, it was more like what I have with my pentel. It means like shocking pink, turquoise, plus yellow, plus green, plus that, you know, like a primary color. So maybe it stayed in my head after, because after I changed a little my palette of color. But anyway, but the day of my, so only one answer from Saint Laurent, so it was not possible. On the day of my 18 years old, so my birthday day, I came back from school, I was at college, and my mother said, oh, we have a phone call from Pierre Cardin, you have to see him at 6 o'clock. I say, okay, but I don't go alone, you come with me. So we take the tube, the metro, and I went there. You know, it was Place Beauvau, close to the Élysée, you know, and it's still there, you know, the place is a shop for men collection in the corner. And I went there, and I asked to see Cardin, and I saw Cardin. And he asked me, when can you come? I say, yes, but I am at school. Which day are you free? I say, the Tuesday afternoon, the Wednesday, and the Friday afternoon. Okay, okay, so you can work on that. And he said, I love your color. That I remember because it was funny. In some way, it's like, it's funny. But I understand also why, because Cardin, no, it was very subtle, more subtle than my color. But I was making a lot of contrast. Saint Laurent was more in the, like a kind of subtlety, more discreet, you know. Bon, at that time I was more exuberant, let's say, and it's true that, but Cardin has an Italian way of seeing the color, let's say. Yeah. Saint Laurent maybe a little more Parisian. Bon. So, I started to work with him, and it was quite funny. Another story which is like quite funny is that just after, there is another one that answered, but very late, like 1 month after, it was Louis Ferraud. Louis Ferraud, which was, let's say, not like Saint Laurent or Cardin, but one just a little under, but very nice man, you know. And he wanted to see me, so I went. And he told me, okay, so okay, we like your sketch. He didn't speak about my color himself. But, and he told me, when can you come? I said, I cannot come that day because I am at school, that day because I am working at Cardin. You are working at Cardin? He said, okay. He gave me back my sketches. Finished. I didn't know that it was like things like exclusive, or you can. I didn't know the role on what to do. Even when I was at Cardin, after the collection haute couture, I say, okay, now it's holiday, because normally it was like 2 months and a half of holiday when you are a student, you know. Yeah. So I went out and came back 2 months and a half after. Of course, after I didn't stay so long time.
What would you say you've learned from Pierre Cardin?
Oh, I think I learned freedom, because I think it's somebody very unique, I must admit, unique. First of all, he chose my sketches, you know, and I didn't do any school, you know, I didn't do any school, I didn't work before, so it took me like, only because he saw my sketches and some, maybe the color inspired him, so he took me for that. So first, that was like, only his own choice, you know what I mean? Not like because of reference, and that kind of thing. Also, it's somebody very free in the way of creating. It's at the same time some things that I am not. He is at the same time like businessman, a good businessman. He was a counter, you know. He's like a cutter, but at the level of first of atelier, you know, and super creative, you know. And what else? And ambassador of France now, and making a lot of, he invented the license. He was the first one to work with China and with India to make like a lot of business, you know. So truly, he was like somebody incredible. At the time I arrived to his place, you know, he was opening the Espace Cardin, which is the place still now that exists. And it was a place where he wanted to make some theater, to make also, to show some sketch, some design, you know, some furniture, you know, like very design. So he was like very, very, very creative and open-minded person. And he wanted always to be the first to have a shop in Peking, a shop in that place. The first to make only one collection for the year. He never did it, but he was always saying that he will do it. Well, it was a man which truly I must have all the respect, because after, when I left him, I did two other couture, maison de couture, Jacques Esterel, which was a second-class couture house, well, interesting, but not like Cardin, and Jean Patou, which was the opposite of Cardin. It was an old house. The couturier Jean Patou was dead, you know, and it was very conservative, very like, beige is chic, beige plus gold is the maximum. The rest, nothing. So it was truly like I was saying, yes, but there is some people that wear beige plus gold, and they look awful. Why? So it was always things like that, you know, and I remember like one time, you know, I saw, at that time there was one director artistic, it was Angelo Tarlazzi, and I saw one girl that was incredible, it was in 72, and the girl was black with bleached hair, you know, and I said, my God, it's incredible, she has bleached hair and she's like a blonde black girl, incredible and fabulous. So I came to tell him. And he said, oh, yes, but you know the American buyers, they will not love it because, you know, it's a black girl, etc. Me, I was shocked because I realized at that time that there was a racism, things that I didn't know in my family. You know, my parents were very modest, very humble, but not at all racist, you know, very open-minded, you know. And I think it was stupid. Why? Which buyers? There is no American on even no one buyer. Only one person was buying, one German woman, the collection, which was not enough. Also, the house is almost dead. You know, there was nothing buying the collection of Patou. So I was like, my God, truly it's stupidity, you know. So I think it's good, but in reality, that experience, which can look like maybe like negative in some way, you know, in reality, it was very positive because I learned things, you know, that that maybe I didn't want to do. Yeah. And maybe, you know, it's like when I was a child and I learned like that Santa Claus doesn't exist, you know. After that, I was thinking, if Santa Claus doesn't exist, maybe God doesn't exist. Maybe what the teacher tell you at school, you know, is not the reality. Yeah. So I was always like a little like hesitant like that. Maybe it's that first, maybe sometimes I say no, but after, Bon, but that is a French attitude sometimes to say no. When somebody asks you something, no. You know, and after maybe we can say yes, you know, but first it's like protection to say no. Yeah. Bon, but in some way it's good, you know, in fashion, because sometimes you can like that, like not accept what is going on. You say, oh, it's enough of that, you know, maybe it's too much, you know, it's like to feel and to try to make something else, not to be that, in the contrary, is very French to say, oh, we were the first, but we are no more the first in France, you know. It's a long time, the grandeur de la France, you know, but always that contentment of like, okay, it's good, we are good now, we are the best one. No, it's always good like to put yourself in question and to see what you can do best, because there is always new adventure and something else to do.
But because then at the same time, you'll see in the first gallery of the exhibition, there's a blue dress that Jean Paul created in 1971 for I.T. Zansen.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you went after to the Philippines to work for the American collections of Pierre Cardin. What made you decide that you would start your own label in 1976?
To be honest, I was like, I wanted, when I came back from Philippines, I was thinking I will be like maybe like designer freelance, you know, working for different houses, you know. For fur, I was somebody I knew from Jean Paul that was doing fur, so I was sketching for him. Somebody that was doing swimming suit, and I did like string like that, like truly like with the shape like incredible, and drape swimming suit. But it was nice because they did it. It was Arabelle, an old mark, which it went very well. But I think it's because I have my boyfriend, Francis Menuge, that I met, and he was like, in some way, somebody like very, first loving me, and loving what I was doing, and he was thinking like maybe we could make something together. Me, I should have done, I should have worked maybe for one big houses, even if at that time the big houses were less and less, you know, I mean like the Grand Couturier. And it was not possible to work in one of those houses as a director artistic or designer because already all the role were, the people were there, you know. So I think with him, I think I could do something myself, my own collection. Alone, I don't know. You know, I have somebody in some way to push me because I am not that ambitious. You know, he was more ambitious. He wanted like to make an empire.
Because at the time you had left, you had escaped, I must say, the Philippines. You were supposed to come back, but you managed to bring back raffia placemats to use them in your first collection that you'll see also in the exhibition. Can you tell us about how you came back with these raffia placemats and how you created your first collection and the first show?
The thing is that, so I came back in 74 or 75. Yeah, 75. I met Francis in 75. And after I make my first collection, but to do my first collection, it was not easy because in France, you know, it's not a young country. It's not like Australia, you know. So it's more like difficult, like even like to start, you know, because you have, you know, in France, you have to look serious. Which maybe I didn't, you know. You have to look serious and with money behind. If you have no money, it's difficult to start. So we had no money. My parents have not, the parents of Francis not, and me not. So only with, the collection I was doing for the swimming suit, for the fur, etc., I put the little of that, you know, to make a collection. But to buy the fabric, big problem, because I couldn't say, oh, there is like, I have like 1,000 meters to buy to have it, you know. I was only starting. And when you say, no, I am a new one, and I want to make, to have some fabric, to buy some fabric that I should have paid, but a few meters, you know. No, we don't care. No, it's not possible. So I try. In some way, it's good because like starting with nothing, I have to find solution. So solution were what? I did some clothes with lining. I did some clothes with my, how do you say that? You put under the table, you know.
Placemats.
Yeah, in straws that I can bring back from my kitchen from Philippines. And I make some clothes with it, you know. I make some clothes with things that were not supposed to be a real clothes or something like that, you know. And we jump, and I make my first collection, which was a big, it was in the Palais, the back of the Grand Palais, you know, Palais de la Découverte, which means Palace of the Discover. But it was not a discover, it was a catastrophe, my first collection. But, I mean, like, there was no the big journalist, because as a stupid as I was, not knowing anything, you know, I did at the same hour that was, one big designer, Emmanuel Kahn, at that time, you know, which all the journalists were going to see. On me at the same hour, I didn't know she was at that time, you know, I put my collection. So I have only the one that was rejected from her show, you know. And they came, and the music of the show started, and I didn't dress the model. The model were all like friends of one girl that I saw when she came to Patou, and she was marvelous, Anna, and she, since the time, you know, she became like a big model, you know, and she worked for Saint Laurent, and she inspired him for the Russian collection, you know. So she said to her friends, the other girl of Saint Laurent, to come, and she had a friend that if she could like model for me. So I have all the girls of Saint Laurent, which were fabulous, but not so much audience anyway. And it's a luck I didn't sell anything because I couldn't produce it. Because I have nothing. It was only like my concierge, the voisine, the neighbor woman that was doing it, sewing it, you know, and we cannot produce anything. But it was the beginning. It was like, you know, you jump in the water. After you have to swim. So after I did another one and another one until I find somebody that believed in me and give me some possibility to produce, and to make it well, and professionally well.
But it's a great coincidence because, in fact, the first selling collection that you did was called Greece.
It's
successful,
true. It was
based you know, the influence was Olivia Newton-John.
With a movie with Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, because I saw the movie, I loved it. So it's 78. I can tell you the date because it's like 2 years after. I have no more money, and even less than no more. It was, I have to pay some people, I don't know how, and I find those persons that believed in me. Dominique Schuller, which was a woman which has the first shop in Paris, which was Bus Stop, and it was owned by Kashiyama, one Japanese, that after asked me to be, my license, etc. So give me a little money to go on. And like that, I could go on. And with that collection, first collection that we sold, and it was well sold, and it was a commercial success for a beginning. It was a beginning already. But because, you know, one thing is that for me, the important was to do the clothes, yes, but to do the fashion show. Because like I told you, you know, it's a movie where it was showing the beautiful model walking like that. I wanted to do that. For me, to put the clothes on a hanger, it was not interesting. It was only clothes that should have somebody inside, and somebody that I like, that I am attracted, that I find beautiful, and make my clothes more beautiful. Yeah. So the importance of the model, which there is two here, and one also male model, Tanel. Alors, you have here Alessandra, and you have Andrea, which are here from Australia, and Tanel from Armenia, but from Paris, which is my muse male model also.
Because from 1976 until last September, you've been designing many ready-to-wear collections, and at some point every year you were doing 2 men's ready-to-wear, 2 women's ready-to-wear, 2 haute couture, at some point 2 for Hermès, and this is without the accessories.
Pre-collection also.
Pre-collection
and accessories, and also the perfume, which is something else, but it makes a lot of things to do.
And the collaborations, and the movie costumes, and the stage
Exactement.
costumes.
Which I love, but at the end it's a little too much. Now it's like 38 years that I am doing like a pret-à-porter collection, so I think it's enough. It's enough for I don't want to quit at all, you know, I love to do collection and fashion, you know, but ready to wear, I think it has changed also. The time have changed, you know, there is new designer, fresh designers that can do beautiful things, placed to the young one, you know, for the ready to wear. But I go on to make the couture, and I will go on to make new adventure, but small capsule. What is terrible is that, you know, now you have to make so much clothes. There is too much clothes, more than people to wear it, you know. And more collection, I don't think is a good solution for what's happening now, you know. I think it should be seen in another way. But you have no more time to think, you know. It's like sometimes another collection. Sometimes you are finishing one collection that already you start even one which is after. All like that, you know, so it's non-stop. So I think it's good sometimes to think and to say, what I want to do, what should be good to do, which direction I go, etc. You have no time to do that. And it's more marketing now. The pret-à-porter became like, if like the luxury pret-à-porter wants to be like very industrial, which cannot match, I think. It's good like to have things very low price and artisanat and couture, I think. Not the middle, or like a pret-à-porter, which is truly like couture, you know, but not that medium thing that cannot be, you know. So it's my opinion. So I do it, and for me it's good because like that I can think a little more and make things, and to feel free also. Because, you know, now there is so much like big brand, big group, you know, that impose, you know, a lot of things, you know. Is not the code are not exactly the same, you know, and you have the marketing, which is first of all. And me, I have always, you know, be free. I am lucky. I wanted to make my dream. I am making it still, you know, but I don't like to be imposed. You know, I try to feel myself what are the limits until where I can go. And after one moment, like, but to make the one of somebody else, no.
Yeah, because from your ready-to-wear collections, many very famous movie directors, from Pedro Almodovar, Peter Greenaway, Luc Besson, with who you did Fifth Element, and many pop stars. Some of you may know Madonna, Kylie Minogue, for which Jean Paul worked. In fact, you know, you have very strong codes in your universe. You know, when we see a corset, a trench coat, we know it's Gaultier. And for me, Gaultier is one of the rare designer that you don't have to look at the label to recognize immediately his clothes, because he has such a strong identity, because he's someone who, rather than following the trends, he initiates them. And that's why the exhibition is called From the Sidewalk to the Catwalk. So can you tell us how it makes you feel when you have celebrities wearing your clothes, for example, Nicole Kidman at the Oscars, or when Madonna asks you to be Gaultierized in a way?
Yeah. But I should say first, like, for example, Nicole Kidman, I was very honored, you know, first to know that she wanted one of my dress, you know, of couture dress. First, she was the first one to buy me couture tailleur, you know, one suit, you know, like the skirt plus the jacket that was like a pullover. It was like a men's jacket, but you can put it like a pullover, you know, like, or like a t-shirt, let's say. And she bought it, and I was very honored of that, you know. And after, when she asked for the dress she saw of my couture for the Oscar, I say, my God, and Nicole Kidman, she's beautiful and elegant, you know. And but you know what is funny is what happened. It's the day of the award, of the Oscar, you know. It was the strike of the red carpet, because it was the strike of the writer, you know. So no red carpet. So I didn't know if she was wearing my dress that I sent her, you know. And after, we saw in the audience, so she was there, you know, and she was wearing, like, I recognized my dress. But nobody see it. Bon. But she win. So she went up and so it was, you know, it was like, because with the décalage, you know, the time, it was like 5 o'clock, because it's almost at the final, 5 o'clock in France in the morning, you know. So I phoned to all my friends like that, hello, you know, Nicole Kidman win, and etc. It was quite funny, you know, not for them to be wake up by me, but I was so happy, you know. So it was fabulous, you know, because I was happy, and I was very proud, because for a moment like that, which is very unique, you know, I was on her art.
Yeah, because someone like...
my dress was on her art.
Because someone like Madonna was wearing Gaultier even in 1985, like at the premiere of Desperately Seeking Susan, and she was even like, if I must say, taking inspiration from your looks sometimes. How was it to work with her, and how did this first meeting happen to work with her?
It has been fantastic, because first I admire her, you know. I am lucky because I work with people that I admire, you know, and I was fan. So I was fan of her. I find her look very good and very in the spirit since the beginning, you know, even when she was on the top of the pop, you know, with Holiday, you know, I say, wow, she must be English. I didn't think she was American, because for me, American couldn't dress like that. But she was very much inspired by Paris, you know. She has like some Parisian friend, let's say. So, she was fabulous, you know, and how she acted, how she put her in how to say, like, to show her, you know, she was always making like little scenario to present, to give award to others, and to receive, and to thanks, you know. She always, it was funny the way how she was doing it. And I met her after one concert where she was wearing, it was in Paris, and she was wearing like a copy of my cone bra with the sequin, like black with a gold sequin. And I saw her after, because there was a party for her at 12 o'clock. At 5 minutes before 12, she was already there after the show. Can you imagine? She was just in time. At that time, she was always in time, you know, incredible, you know. So I went to see her and say, hello, congratulations, I love your work. And she was wearing, after, for the party, one of my dresses, you know, because she went to the boutique the day before. And and I tell her, you know, but instead, like to ask to make a copy of my clothes, I should love to do for you. She didn't say anything. She said, thank you, na, 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 na. And after, she phoned and asked me to do the clothes for the Blonde Ambition tour. And it was fabulous. It was truly an experience because what she was showing of a woman, you know, it was exactly what I wanted to show in my collection, and how she was showing also the men, you know, sometimes more fragile, sometimes like male object. It was exactly I was seeing I wanted to show the men, you know, to show the part of masculinity in the woman and the part of femininity in the men. So it was like truly like perfectly speaking to me, and so we spoke marvelously well together. So it was a great experience. It was fabulous collaboration, and I loved it. So it was truly like a very good souvenir. Even if it is not her that was the first to wear the cone bra, because I did it for my teddy bear first, before Madonna. So it was the teddy bear that had the first cone bra.
Speaking of collaborations, you have models who collaborate with you. So I'd like to welcome Alexandra Agustin first, and then after Andrea to come with us on stage, please. Alexandra Agustin. Here. Hi. So Alexandra Agustin is a great model.
I didn't know you were going to get me on stage.
Wow. You would be too nervous then, but it's just us three with a couple of people, so nothing to worry about. No, I want to, because you know we're in Australia, you're Australian, you worked with Gaultier, but also you work with other designers like John Galliano. Can you tell us how is it to work with Jean Paul Gaultier in the atelier for the haute couture, let's say, when you prepare a show?
Well, for me, it's a great honor to work with Jean Paul. I mean, I've honored his work long before I even met him, and to meet him was the greatest pleasure because, as you can see, he's like so energetic and enthusiastic and so honest in what you do and so true to yourself, which I find really, really inspiring. So to work with him in that close environment in his studio was really amazing because I feel that you're so kind of organic in the way that you design, and you can see that an inspiration from your mind, and it kind of just goes, I don't know how, but in some way it just kind of goes through you and onto my body, and it's just all in one thought, and it's truly this talent that's just, it still seems so raw and so incredible, even though you've been doing it for so long. It's something, you've just been so honest to yourself in how you design. So it's amazing.
Yeah, no, because when we did the interview for the book, I thought it was very interesting because she was telling me, oh, when I do fittings, let's say with John Galliano at Dior, it's very strict and they work with toile patrons. And with Jean Paul, it's very creative and he brings you in the creative process. And like, for example, a wedding dress that you wore that is in the book that you should see, that is fantastic. Can you tell us how the process is when you collaborate?
Yeah, well, it is. When I was working with John Galliano, he's an incredible designer, but it's a different way of working. And then with Giorgio Armani, and it's a different way, and everyone has their own. I think as a model, you're very privileged to be able to go into such incredible talent studio and to see them at their most, it's kind of very personal situation when you're making those final decisions before your show. It's very intimate, I guess, because it's you know, really what shows who you are in your creative expression. So when I came in to do the wedding dress, I didn't know I was going to wear the wedding dress, actually. So I didn't know. All of a sudden, the seamstress would bring this big, like, pile of incredible fabric. And I was so excited because it was just incredible to do it. But it was all made, but then it kind kind of took part, the design process kind of kept going in the fitting, and I remember you kind of grabbed some flowers off a desk and put them on my hip and to accentuate that, and so my waist was going like, you know, like this, and that kind of grew on something else, so you asked for quickly a bit more material, and it kind of kept growing in all these proportions, and it kind of evolved on the spot, and all of a sudden this dress went from something into this incredible artwork, and I think it was incredible to be a part of that.
Thank you, but I must say that truly it's also because of her that my idea came, you know. It's like a kind of fusion in some way, you know, the fact that somebody which, by the movement, you see how the pose, for example, she has like staying here, how she puts her legs, and her arm, all that makes that I react to it and to your attitude. And even, I like to ask also sometimes, how do you feel? You feel good in it? You like it? I prefer that or that. I like. At the end, maybe sometimes I make my own decision, but I need to have, and when I feel that the person understand, and the model understand, which is your case, the clothes and have her own advice, you know, I use that and it's helped me, you know, so it's a collaboration, it's very important, you know, it's like in the movie I saw when I was a child, it's like that, it's because you see her, he fell in love in some way. It's always like that. It's like a question of, you know, like attracted, so you want to make better.
Yeah. I fell in love too.
No, because speaking of models, one thing that is very important in the work of Jean Paul Gaultier and that you can discover throughout the exhibition is really the strong social message in his work. You know, from your very first show to all your collections, your advertising campaigns, you've never been afraid to show different type of beauties to you know, whatever your age, your body shape, your skin color, your gender is, to show different type of beauties, and I think it's very generous. And you know, for me, you're a great humanist. You know, it's beyond fashion. Your work, you bring social issues, and for this to speak about this, we'll have our other special guest, fresh from the plane, back in her hometown, Andrea Pejic, please. On va l'asseoir ici.
D'accord, très bien.
You can go next to Jean Paul.
Comme ça. Hello, André.
How is it to be back in Melbourne?
It's amazing. It feels incredible. This is obviously my home city, and I have a lot of memories here and a lot of loved people. And so far, the welcoming has been extremely positive, so it's good.
Because it's your first time as a woman, as Andrea in Australia.
Yeah, I guess it's my first time in my home city as my true, authentic self, and it's been incredible.
Because when you met Jean Paul, it was in 2009? 2010. I would say that androgyny was not something that was, it's not a
not
trend.
very big at the time.
It was quite uncommon.
No, it was, it had, there was a bit of androgyny in the 90s, and the early 2000s were very anti-androgynous, I feel like.
Yeah, because when we spoke for this book, which by the way will be, there will be a signing session after, you told me that you always felt that you were in between. You know, even for your agencies, it was difficult. And in fact, it's Tanel Bedrosian, muse of Jean Paul Gaultier, who in fact introduced you to Jean Paul to work on the...
Yeah, and helped me get signed in my French agency, because it was very difficult to even get European representation. Because, yeah, I felt like, I mean, I was really living sort of in between the genders, and a lot of creative people, while they liked me, no one would sort of take a financial risk, or no one thought that I could make, you know, commercial success, and it was very difficult to even just get an agency in London and Paris. So, thank you.
No, but then you went to meet Jean Paul. How was this first meeting where you knew who he was? I hope.
I did. I mean, I did. I didn't know much about fashion. I can't say that I followed fashion a lot, but of course I knew who Jean Paul was. But I didn't, my agent wanted me to see him really badly, but I didn't understand why. I didn't understand that, there could be, that he could like me. So I just went in and I didn't have a portfolio. I had left it behind in a previous casting. And I went in and I didn't, he was very friendly and very sort of down to earth and different from a lot of people in fashion today who can be a bit snobby. And, it was lovely. And I sort of felt the energy right away. And he booked me, and it was my first show in Paris.
You remember that first meeting?
Of course, I remember very well. Tanel spoke to me about him at the time, and Andre. So I saw him, and I said, my God, what beautiful. It didn't, he was looking like, he was very androgynous, and it was beautiful like that, and it was not even question androgynous, not androgynous, a beauty, that's it, beauty, it's beauty, In reality, it has not even sex, it's beauty.
Yeah, no taboos.
So it was fabulous. So it's funny because there is even like one collection, is the second one. First collection, it was, it's very funny because it was a collection that was a kind of reference about the 70s with Yves Saint Laurent and Betty Catrou.
Good colors this time? What? Good colors this time for Yves Saint Laurent tribute?
Sorry, I didn't.
Non, les couleurs étaient bonnes.
I make like very sober color, like a khaki mixed with mauve, So it was perfect for that, I have my reference after. The years give me the reference. So, I put him like in the role, let's say. Or there is like one guy that was looking a little like Saint Laurent coming in the 70s, with a little beard. And him was like, her now,
Betty.
She was Betty.
She was Betty
Catrou, which was an androgynous figure. But what does it mean, androgynous? In reality, it was a beauty, very modern. And what it's known is that Betty Catrou was the feminine vision of Saint Laurent. Saint Laurent in woman, in some way, the elegance he loved in her, So you were the one. On the collection after, it became something different. Because the different collection after, always for men, I make James Blonde. So it was James Blonde, not James Bond, So that was, and it was James Blonde. And she was James Blonde.
And he hired models that
and after,
represented that looked like me. It was a bunch of boys that had long hair, blonde hair, and half of the models looked like James Bond, half of the models looked like James Bond.
I tried to make them like inspired truly by him, And after, you did my couture show, where you were,
the bride.
The bride, with the dress that was like transparent.
2 brides.
You see that? 2 brides, you see. It's not monogamy for me, it's polygamy. I am polygam, okay, you see, now it's so obvious. So, it was like a transparent dress, with like only stripe that were covering just what was necessary, exactly. And it was a dress that were after Rihanna, but it was not as beautiful on Rihanna than on yes,
Now that you are Andrea, do you feel the pressure to be, because you're a great spokesperson, I think, for these very important issues about in society and also in the fashion industry. Do you think society and the fashion industry have been supportive and are ready for you?
Yeah, well, I would like to say when I was little, my biggest dream was to grow up and be a girl, and that was my biggest dream. And I didn't care if I was cleaning toilets, or if I was working at McDonald's, if I got to be a girl, that would be amazing. And you know, to become a pretty well-known female fashion model, thanks to Gaultier, is obviously has blown all of my expectations. But you know, when I was growing up, sort of the only representation I saw of transgender people in the mainstream was on Jerry Springer and NCIS as, you know, a prostitute, and that was it. And so I never associated success with being trans. And when I came out to my mom, I thought that, you know, she would think that it would be the end of my career, any success in the future. And I think, you know, on a social level, it's very important because I think young people need an example. And I think that, you know, my work with Jean Paul has definitely helped me solidify my place in fashion. And I think there is a long way to go, and there's a lot of work to be done when it comes to acceptance of trans people and trans visibility. And I think fashion is on the right track, and I'm very hopeful.
Thank you. I should say thank you, Jean Paul, for your generosity.
No, I should say something. It's like, for me, there is not to thank me, because in reality, you know, if I was attracted by the model I choose, like you or you, it's because you are beautiful, and for me, it was in reality, it's to me to thank you, because it's you that make it living the costume I am doing, the clothes I am doing. It's you that make it real and beautiful and give me more creativity. So it's your own person. And honestly, if I find you beautiful, it's because you are. So it's normal. Everybody can see it. It's only to look at you and you can see it. So it's you, yourself. All belong from you. Come from you, your success.
Thank you. Now we'll take some questions from the public. Is there any questions? Oh. 1, 2. That's it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Hi. Thank you so much.
Can you stand?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonsoir, actually. I'm Yahav. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. I was actually lucky enough to see the exhibition first in San Francisco and also here. So I wanted to ask you both, perhaps, how did you choose the different pieces to come, you know, to each city? What's that process?
One thing I must say that is fantastic to work with Gaultier, because he's done so many collections, and every season it's a new adventure, a new journey. You know, he goes from tribute to China and Spain to then mermaids, and he had so many strong connections with Australia. You know, he did a collection based on Mad Max, one on Greece. He collaborated with Kate Blanchett, with Nicole Kidman, with Kylie Minogue, with these fantastic models. So we're just happy to be in Melbourne and be able to show that. But maybe Jean Paul can explain more, you know, how he had all these, everybody wants to collaborate with him, so he had very strong ties with Australia already. So it's great to be able to adapt it in every venue. For example, in London, we had more punks.
Yeah, because it was like a little like, you know, I have been very much influenced by London, you know, on the London street, you know, which always like, for me it was good because in Paris it's very conservative, you know, so it was like not so easy to do it. When I was going to London, I feel more freedom, so I could express, and when I was seeing the people in London, I said, oh my God, I can do what I want to do because truly they do themselves, they are more free than in France. So the punk influenced me, and I show it last time. Here for that exhibition, I should say first that the museum is quite beautiful and big. Bigger maybe than the one you saw in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's
that
a different
definitely,
layer.
yes, more space. And I should say, in San Francisco it was a good exhibition, but I should say that here, I think all the team work a lot on new theme, you know, and on light in a different way. So it means that I think, honestly, for me, it's the best exhibition we have done until now. Because the applause come to here, to Tony, and to all his team, you know, because I think that truly they did like a great job, you know. I should also thank like my team, the team of here, and also Odile who do the hair, which are truly incredible and going in all my collection. So I think she's fabulous and she does a marvelous job.
Odile.
And it's truly very important. Ah, yes, because they are truly part of the, for me, you know, the hair are more important than the accessory. It is not an accessory, the hair. The hair is the continuation of the body, you know. It's part of you. It's like you can, like, it's like the makeup, you know. It's something, so it's very important, and I think she does it, like, absolutely perfectly. And this finish the silhouette in a way absolutely fabulous. It's not finishing. It's like part of the total silhouette. So thank you to her. So what I was saying, yes, that for here, for Australia, I think I have a lot of connection. Like I said already, I repeat maybe myself, but it's true. I have a lot of connection, I think, with Australia. Through the movie. Baz Luhrmann, Mad Max, Grease Olivia Newton-John, ABBA with the Eurovision Song Contest, you know, a lot of things that influenced me on movies that were beautiful. So, on actress that was some of my clothes. So I wanted to show them and to show what they were wearing and to give an homage also. There is an homage also I have to give also. It's to some animal, like I said before, the ostrich, the kangaroo, that I did also for Hermes, you know, and the crocodile, of course, beautiful things in crocodile. There is a lot of clothes that I did for myself that were in crocodile. So, but it's not the only homage I have to give to Australia. But I should say on the model that I have, you know. So it's normal that I was very excited to work on that exhibition in another way. And for us, it's a challenge and it's good because each step is different exhibition. It's something different. It's not the same story. It means like if you want, for example, but after they will have no more, but not so much after the exhibition. But one person can see it in San Francisco and see that one is not the same. Is it true?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so that is good because in between I have done some new collection and it can go on like that until I finish my collection. Enfin, until the last time I do a collection.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions in the back over there? Oh, you. Sorry. Yes.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
My name is Stephanie. As you can see, and as you know, we have fantastic talent here in Australia in the fashion industry. I would like to know who some of your most admired Australian fashion designers are.
I didn't get it, sorry. I didn't hear very well, I'm sorry.
Qui sont vos designers? S'il y a des gens qui vous ont influencé ici en mode?
Les designers qui m'ont influencé dans la mode en général, ouais. But first, there is the old one, let's say. They were even younger than me now at the time. So it was like Saint Laurent, of course. There was also like Pierre Cardin, because I work with him. Of course, what did Courrèges in some way, even if you don't see it in my work. But more young one, there was like, of course, like, I don't know if he influenced me or if I influenced me, but I love his work. It's Martin Margiela, which has been my assistant, and I love his work. I love Reka Wakubo of Comme des Garçons, which I think is absolutely great and marvelous. I like Rick Owen, I like Garrett Pugh, I love, who else? I love quite a lot of, John Galliano, of course. I think he's really fantastic. And I think it's very exciting, the fact that he goes to Martin Margiela now. I think it's good, and he can do it. Even if people at the first thing say what he will do at Martin Margiela, he will do good things because at the beginning, when he started, he was doing like things that were like very kind of minimalist. Even if it was English, it was minimalist, you know. So I think it will be perfect for Marta Margiela.
Could you tell us about Australian designers that you like? Anything stand out from Australia?
But I think that this morning, Jean-Paul, you saw a good
one
exhibition.
that is absolutely fabulous.
Romance
the one you
was
have
born.
definitely to see, the one for the children, you know, here, which is not only for the children, it's for also the adults that we are all children a little inside of us. But it's truly fabulous. It's truly, it's an exhibition that shows and gives creativity to the young girls and boys. There were a lot, they were already like sketching, and it's marvelous. I think like everybody can become like a designer of furniture, of clothes, or whatever. You know, it's really super creative and give freedom for, because you know there is some people that say, how do you do to create? I should say, there is no way to explain. It's everybody can create. Or some people say, oh, it's like a gift, you know, a gift like from like a fairy tale. How would you say, or from God? No, it's not a gift from God. It's only to be interested and passionate to something and to let you free of doing things. If you don't let you free, you cannot do anything, you know. So it's that. On that, I think, that exhibition shows how it should be good if all the study in school were like that. So free and so letting the children to be interested in something. Because I think the principal thing is to be interested and passionate for anything, you know. It can be cooking, food, which I am passionate, but I don't like to cook. I prefer to eat, honestly. Because I don't cook enough well, you know, for me. I prefer to eat. And here we eat fabulously. So yes, it's true. You can be creative in anything, in food, in whatever, you know.
Yeah. So now Jean-Paul is a fan of Romance Was Born. Is Anna and Luke here by any chance?
Ouais. Tu t'as entendu? What did you say?
Huh? Stand, okay. Please. Go see their exhibition also. It's fantastic. Another question?
Bonjour.
Hi, my name's Ernest. I'm here with some classmates. We are studying fashion design at the moment. And as young designers, we already are getting criticism. No, that doesn't work. You should try something else. For you, whose opinion is most valued to you?
Pour vous, dans l'industrie de la mode, de qui c'est le plus important d'avoir l'opinion? C'est les rédactrices de mode, ou c'est vos collègues, ou c'est les mannequins?
Aha. You know, well, in some way you can make like I did myself when before I started, I must say. It's like to write your own critics. Like that is good. It's always positive, you know. I think no. It's like it depends, you know. It's in reality to be honest with yourself, you know. It's like to, you know, that profession. I think is like also to feel, to smell what is on, what is happening. I mean, happening in society, in a very a lot of things. You know, to have your eyes open about the movement of the beautiful girls that are here, for example, to everything. So from that you can learn, and it gives you direction. After that, you can ask them what they think about it. But you have to have, at the end, your opinion yourself. You know, of course, the judgment of journalists can make you pleasure, or can also like make you like very sad. But you have to believe in what you are doing. I think you have to love that profession. So the thing is like at the end is like the clothes you are doing. Some people want to wear it. So is that the first thing? So it's not. It doesn't mean the marketing part, but it's also the creative part, but it has to please, and people have to want to wear it, you know. So you have yourself to put you in the situation to make the things that can please some people. And if it is a small part of people, it doesn't matter, but you have to believe in that and working in that. So I think the journalist is very good, can give you good advice, but they are not doing the clothes, you know. So believe first in yourself, I think. First in yourself, and listen, and have friends in which you have in common, model, that can also show you if you are in the, why they are surprised, or maybe they don't like that thing, you can a little change. So in reality, you have to believe first in what you are doing. You know, for example, I will tell you something like the corset. If I did it, it is not, or if I did the skirt for men, it is not like to shock, to provoke, only to make people speaking about me. It's not that. It's because I think the time was changing on the regard, the look of the eyes of the woman on men were changing. The woman likes to see some fragile, some virile, but also some fragile men, and fragility in the men. And if I propose the corset, it's because, there is some girls that wanted at the same time like to be like the old figure of sexy, you know, but at the same time they were powerful and they were choosing. It's them that they wanted to be like that. It's not to be submissive, to submit to the man, you know. So it's all that, all those, how it's happening in life, in society, how the world is changing and going, that help you to create. And after, when you believe in that, when you think, yes, I am in that, I believe in it, you do it in some way. I think if you have people that respond to it, some people around you, you observe them, and after you can do what you believe in, and go on that.
Thank you very much.
We will take one last question in the back.
Merci beaucoup pour votre entretien, Monsieur Gaultier.
Merci, madame.
Quelle est votre plus grande satisfaction dans la vie?
I'll just translate. She asked, what is your greatest satisfaction in life?
My greatest satisfaction is that I am doing my dream of child, you know. It's something I wish for everyone, you know. When you are a child and you want to do something or to be something, and yet you go on to do it. I mean, you are still a child. In some way, I'm kind of child, in some way. So I am still playing with my game, you know, but in a way that maybe it's for something. If it can help and make some people happy with my clothes, I am very happy. So that's, and I am the luck like to go on and still at 62 years old, going on to do it. So it's marvelous, and that is my better satisfaction. And try to be, comment dit-on, honest with yourself, you know. Try to, you know, when I was a child, before I started to work, you know, or adolescent, I was lying all the time about my life, you know. I was saying like things that were wrong because I didn't find me very interesting or whatever, so I invent things like that people interest to me. But at the moment I did my profession, I started to start, even like at Pierre Cardin, I say now I am doing what I was dreaming to do and to be, so I have no right to lie. So I think it's that, you know, it's like to be honest with yourself and you will be honest with the other. It's true, you have to be honest with yourself, like you are too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hasn't it been an absolute pleasure to have the energy of Jean Paul Gaultier here?
Thank you. Bravo à vous, c'est à vous tous. Merci.
Wow. Thank you all very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.